Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to Mechabellum. I've got a short video for you guys today on the Hound, which is a highlight game from a 6-game series I played against none other than Surrey, also known as Rat, and this kind of showcases the carry potential that Hounds might have. Now obviously in terms of the packs here, I decided to go for the one that does have the Hounds in the starting pack, and it is a Steel Ball Hound pack. This seems like it could be a very powerful opener, as you already have some chaff clear, right? In the form of the Hound, and then the steel balls are always nice to have as a DPS option and also a frontline option. Now in this particular game, my opponent Surrey picked Cost Control Specialist, and he starts with ARCLIGHTS, the other chaff clear option, and steel balls as well. Bit of a mirror situation, and you will see the both of us go for a more long range setup here. Now for my opponent it makes a lot of sense. He is cost control, so finding himself in a headbutt maybe could be a bit scary, so understand that he would want to maybe create some distance. But here I wanted to try and play a longer range game as well, because we played 6 games and a lot of them were either defensive games for one of us or an aggressive game or a headbutt, and I wanted to try and, well, get a bit of a longer range game in to try and see how the Hounds would perform. So here we decide to go for the triple Hounds in front of the towers and one in the middle. Steel balls a bit delayed since they are faster. The Hounds have 10 meters a second of move speed. And here, well, I can probably just buy some chaff. Might just be some crawlers as well. Obviously the Hounds are chaff in and of themselves, but they only come as 5 a pack. Oh, never mind. Looks like I decided to go for some marksman here instead. That is another option I could go for, which should be quite powerful against the triple ARCLIGHTS and the steel balls. Just trying to get some longer range DPS and, well, hoping to get some early lock-ons and kind of get rid of those tanky units as fast as we can. And you can see that the Hounds are doing a pretty good job. They're also helping out those marksmen and the steel balls in taking down the enemy steel balls a bit quicker. And considering my opponent is cost control, that is going rather well, and it looks like we should pick up this first round. Opponent does manage to get rid of all my steel balls, but I have 1 Hound pack thereabouts surviving, and the 2 marksmen are sitting pretty in the back line. So a solid first round, and I was happy with how this went. I am a Fire Badger spec, so that's what we will see this turn. And here heavy armor looks very good. There's also something to be said for maybe shield airdrop, but when both of us have steel balls, I think it's not necessarily going to be the highest tempo spell, and so heavy armor just seems very solid to throw onto a steel ball. Surrey picks it up as well. Obviously we are in a mirror, so that all makes sense. And then here I would probably be looking to get some chaff. I think some crawlers here could look good, especially into ARCLIGHTS. Having loose formation maybe available in the long term could be good. And I always prefer going crawlers first, since they do tend to run in front of the rest of your units. Whereas fangs, I would have to put them in the front, but then they become very vulnerable to things like Stormcallers. And yeah, you do see us pick up that heavy armor. I decided to put it on the steel ball that has the most experience, hoping that maybe this can level. An opponent here goes for ARCLIGHTS range immediately. Now we go for an offensive play, trying to gain a bit of tempo here with a crawler and our Fire Badger from the specialist on the flank. And then we decide to buy just a couple more Hounds. And I was kind of testing here whether or not Hound carry could be something. Maybe not Hound carry, but kind of, well, yeah, pressuring the opponent with the chaff clear from these Hounds. And we'll see how the ARCLIGHTS perform into them. Do keep in mind these are cost control ARCLIGHTS. Flank pulls a relatively good amount of units there. A couple of steel balls going for the flank, and the crawlers do manage to spawn in, so it looks like we might get a debuff there. Now we're getting to the tower, so that will fall, and now 9 seconds to debuff. Surprisingly, the left side is still alive. A couple of Hounds surviving there, ready to level. And I think that's also partially because of the steel balls tanking for them. And so another good round from us. And now we enter round number 3 with unit reinforcements available. There is a Farseer, which counters, in a way, the Wraith and the Wasp drop. Sabertooth doesn't look too shabby either, but Farseer is just so solid that, yeah, the both of us decide to pick it up. It's good into mid-sized units, so it should perform rather well into my hounds. And then it also tends to do pretty well into things like the steel balls. All around a powerhouse for the early to mid game. And Surrey decides to sell his steel ball and transfer the heavy armor onto the Farseer, and this is where we see Charge Shot coming out. Not a tech that you see very often, at least not in high MMR, but I can definitely see its merit here, since it takes ARCLIGHTS 3 shots to kill hounds of the same level, but with the Charge Shot, we'll have to see, yeah, 1200, so they are now able to one-shot the hounds of the same level. Now, I decided to pick up the defense enhancement here because with the defense enhancement, I noticed that the cost control ARCLIGHTS would require 4 shots to kill my hound, but obviously I wasn't expecting charge shots, and so this doesn't do too much in terms of breakpoints. I decided to add some late crawlers to the mix and level up my hounds as well. Pretty tame round, all things considered. I would likely be playing for some range here next turn on my hounds. I do have 5 of them now, so should be worth giving them some range. But for now, things are looking good. The Farseer is DPSing quietly in the background, should be able to lock on to the enemy Farseer. Keep in mind this does have the heavy armor, but with 1 stable on the tower, that debuff should mean we can get rid of this. And so far, it's a pretty clean game. Last ARCLIGHT alive will go down as well. And that'll send Surrey down to about 3k hit points. Steel balls here can level. Round 4 we get a bunch of spells available, and Orbital Javelin is often an insta-pick for me on round 4. If there's nothing else of like very high value, because it has a pretty low cooldown. It's relatively cheap, coming in at only 250 for a red spell. And yeah, on round 4, when you use it, you will often see it back because it will come back on round 8. And obviously we have a very juicy target here, right? I mean, look at that. Can hit the Farseer, an ARCLIGHT, and a Fang Pack. Absolutely lovely stuff. We managed to get the range on the hounds, as we said. And that is relatively expensive, as we also wanted to pick up some levels on the steel balls, for instance. So just 2 more crawlers here for us. And I'm also trying to play for a potential loose formation crawler here next turn, if we can get 3 more crawler deployments, because that is one of the weaknesses of Charge Shot ARCLIGHT. It does pack a punch, but you lose on the attack interval, and so the ARCLIGHTs do give up some of their chaff clear potential, and so loose formation becomes even better into them. Opponent here, by the way, did not go for the Javelin, opted to go for the underground threat instead, and also opts to go for some oil, so maybe setting up for Stormcallers with fire. Let's see how this goes. Great Javelin though. Only a couple Fangs there still alive, so we won't get an immediate debuff out of it, but should secure us the round with that many resources immediately being wiped from the board. And let's see, the Hounds now sitting much, much safer in the background. And yeah, we are now moving in those level steel balls, even harder to kill, even for those charge shot ARCLIGHTS. And we're making our way to the second tower. And with the debuff, that will be another good round here. Dealing about 1000 damage. And round 5, more free units show up. And there is Stormcaller available here. This looks to be the best unit for me, since my opponent has mostly got Fangs, and there are some in the front line, like I talked about, so it gives some good points of lock-on for the Storms. And it also performs relatively well in the other options that are available here, apart from Phoenix, I guess. But, well, I had some marksmen on the board, so if my opponent decided to go for Phoenix, then I could invest into those a bit more. Melting Point is just pretty big, but it gets countered in a way by the Storms, and that is what my opponent decides to go for. I was a little bit surprised about this. I understand that it is relatively big, and with the heavy armor especially, against the board I had, I could see this never dying. But luckily I do pick up those storms, and so that should give us a bit of a better, some better odds to take this down. I do go for the play that I mentioned with loose formation and triple deploy on the crawlers. This way we'll have some crawlers behind these hounds that should protect them from this middle Arclight. And yeah, just generally this should buy us a lot of time. Steel balls have been sold now. They didn't really level, and well, they were kind of just feeding into the Arclights. And we get range coming out here for Surrey with another melter on the left and even a third melter. Perhaps in the middle. Still lots of money available there for Surrey, I believe. I think he still banked 450 or something. But yeah, you can see these Stormcallers just get a perfect lock on, get rid of those fangs in a jiffy. And now they should get a lock on, perhaps onto the melter. Yeah, they do. And as tanky as this might be with all of these hounds, we've got a couple of level 3s in there. And the Stormcallers raining down as well. This is looking to be another fantastic round. And yeah, you can see how much those loose formation crawlers are doing. Very happy to have picked up that tech. And so another good round will mean that our opponent now is down to 535 as we enter round number 6. We just need one more good round, and that could just be game. Intensive training is available here. Surrey does decide to pick it up. It looks to be the best thing available, if not for a skip. But I think at this stage of the game, with this much money, it's probably worth picking up the intensive if I don't want anything else. Shield airdrop wouldn't do too much, I don't think. And so I should grab this. Now, opponent here decides to go for triple Mustang, triple blue Mustang, and then also levels 1 to be level 3. Mustang is supposed to be a counter to the loose formation, and so he realizes that that is a problem. But the Stormcallers are still there. We do see one missile interceptor come out at least, but no missile interception on the Mustangs. That is too expensive. And man, I was really taking my time on this turn. That is baffling. 35 seconds. Come on, get a move on. Well, let's see. Yes, I do decide to pick up the intensive after all. Only 20 seconds left, so we got to move fast. But I did kind of think about what I wanted to do, and so I decided to go for more Farseer with EMP and range. Reason being, EMP is really good against the melters, and I think here I can probably try and close things out before missile interception becomes a problem. And so we grab another level on the steel ball, as those should do pretty well into the melter as well, if you manage to get a lock on. And let's see how this goes. Some of those Stormcaller shots will get intercepted, but the steel balls are now moving in, and it looks like they get an instant lock on to that melter. The EMP is working wonders on the right side, as the heavy armor melter there bites the dust at the start of the round, and this is looking fantastic for us. ARCLIGHTS are working as hard as they can. We'll get rid of most of my hounds, but it looks like we should be able to beat him here. Farseers, that should be plenty. 300 damage a pop, and 2 Stormcallers alive as well. And that will be the game. So this kind of showcases the power that hounds can have. I didn't even click Mech Raid just yet to get an even faster fire rate, but it seems to be that it contests the role of ARCLIGHTS pretty well. And even the charge shot arcs there were kind of struggling. I mean, we did make good use of the counter with the loose formation, and the whole game, it just seemed like we were up in tempo, making proactive plays and creating problems for our opponent. Picking the right unit drops as well certainly helped, but I was surprised to see this, and it seems like Hound might be a viable chaff clear option, at least in the early game and maybe start of the mid game, even in standard. So yeah, if you like this video, please leave a thumbs up. Let me know down below what you think of this unit. If you want to see me play live, check me out on Twitch. If you want to stay up to date with my latest content, please leave a thumbs up. And with that being said, take care guys, and see you in the next video. Bye bye.